fast food restaurant, Mr. Biggs, is doing things a bit differently this year with the hosting of a food festival, the first of its kind for the 32-year-old brand. At the event, which had in attendance many dignitaries and other guests, Mr. Biggs took the opportunity to treat them to a wonderful time with a blend of music, comedy and exciting recipes. Housed under the United African Company of Nigeria PLC, the Pt.3 brand has transformed from just being a coffee shop in the 1960s into a chain of food outlets.
The history of quick-service restaurants in Nigeria will not be complete without the name Mr. Biggs. A brand that has carved a niche for itself by delivering mouth-watering dishes to numerous consumers for over 30 years. In its quest to stay fresh in the hearts of consumers, Mr. Biggs is hosting this grand event tagged Mr. Biggs Food Fest 2018, which stems from the desire to give people a memorable experience of the new and improved Mr. Biggs.
This is a whole new Mr. Biggs. Typically for brands, when you want to let the consumers know that you've done something new about your brand, you present it publicly to them. So basically that's what Mr. Biggs Food Fest is all about, is a platform to present the new and improved meals of Mr. Biggs.
With lots of fun activities lined up, the event witnesses the unveiling of some interesting recipes.
Mr. Biggs decided that it was time to bring a chef in, and what better thing to do than to bring a chef of Nigerian origin to, come in and let's do something great with the recipes and give the people of Nigeria a far more better Mr. Biggs brand.
One thing seems clear from all this. Mr. Biggs is making a promise to ensure that everyone who walks into its outlets nationwide is satisfied with the best of meals and customer service. Two things the brand is known for.
We all grew up with Mr. Biggs, and if you are not in Mr. Biggs, please, where are you? So Mr. Biggs has always been on top of their game.
The two-day event is expected to return next year, but before that time, Mr. Biggs says its doors are always open.
The people of Ugborodo community in Warri Southwest local government area of Delta State have rejected claims that they are under the lordship of the Olu of Warri and the Warri Kingdom. The community members who went on a protest insist that at no time have they had any representation forming the palace in council, as well as any land in the ancestral home of the Shekiri people.
Ugborodo, an oil-rich Shekiri riverine community situated between the Escravos River and the Atlantic Ocean. For many years, there has been a long-drawn conflict over who should constitute the local authority over the community. Now the community has taken to the streets to protest what they describe as slavery by the palace of the Olu of Warri Kingdom. The protest is spurred by an open letter addressed to President Muhammadu Buhari in a publication which was signed by a few members of the community claiming that the Ugborodo community is under the Warri Kingdom.
Our aggression is this. Ugborodo is an autonomous area. Ugborodo was in existence since 1372 AD. Yes, we have never been part of the kingdom. We have never been part of the kingdom, no record. Then some are standing on the rule of law to say, oh, court to say this, court say that. How can three people who were in the court from the same family say that they give a negative judgment?
The money got from this area is not used to develop this area. We are so grieved, no school, no water, no light, no hospital. Yet, they are still claiming lordship over the employment and not for us.
In a swift reaction, one of the members of the Shekiri leaders of thought responsible for the open letter insists the community is under the leadership of the Olu's palace.
All this idea of, oh, we are no longer in Ugborodo, Ugborodo has its own kingdom, is diversionary. It's just to hide their real intention.
Meanwhile, the Uborodo community have rejected a management committee allegedly imposed on them by the Delta State government to resolve the crisis. With this kind of issue already in the public space, the earlier the state government wades into the matter, the better to avoid any breakdown of law and order.
The Anambra State government says the ongoing road construction project in Hiala local government area will be completed before the rains begin. During an inspection tour, the state governor, Willie Obiano, showed the communities that at least 5 out of the 11.5-kilometer stretch will be completed in the coming days.
The dusty, rough Uzakwa Ubahuekwem Osakwa Road in Ihiala local government area is finally receiving a facelift after being abandoned for several decades. Now Governor Willie Obiano is in the locality to see how far work has gone on the 11.5-kilometer road. The Commissioner for Road Infrastructure and Maintenance briefs the governor on the project. He is pleased with the pace and quality of work.
We will continue to finish work on this road as the governor has promised you. We will do at least 5 kilometers on this Uzakwa Bayekwem road, and then take the other 2 kilometers to the end to join the federal road. That is Okija, Ihiala, Ebama Road.
You know, I told yourself when we are campaigning that this is not a campaign issue. The road is there and we are progressing. As we get more money, we do more roads, you know, and we are keeping to our faith. We are hoping that by the end of the rainy season, the length of this road is 11.5 kilometers, you know, and we are hoping that at least by the end of this dry season, they would have fully done about 5 kilometers on this road. Then we will continue again.
The residents are happy that government has finally intervened.
Our governor, I want to assure you on behalf of the political class, both in Ihiala local government and in Anambra State, that we are with you today, we will be with you tomorrow. Like my brothers have said, take the Igbos, not just Anambra. Akpokuodike is a brand, it's a project. It's not for Anambra.
The Ihiala Road is very strategic as it connects several communities in the local government area, and it's also a shorter route to the Okija-Ihiala-Egbema Expressway.
A Thanksgiving service to mark the 6th anniversary of Siraki Dixon's administration in Bayelsa State has taken place in the capital, Yenagoa. Governor Dixon led other top officials of his government to render songs of praise and appreciation to God for the strides achieved so far by his administration. Going forward, the governor says he hopes to bring the state to a place of prosperity.
It's a day of celebration for top government officials and their spouses, families and friends as they gather at the Government House Chapel to express their thanks to God as the present administration marks the 6th year of its emergence. The atmosphere of praise and worship affords Governor Siraki Dixon the opportunity to show he too could become a praise leader. Done with the service, the governor says the journey has been tough, but that he is determined to consolidate on the gains of his administration to make life better for Bayelsans by ensuring first and foremost the completion of ongoing projects.
With the support of the people and with the prayers of everyone, and by the grace of God, Bayelsa is going to be ushered into a new realm of security, stability, development and prosperity.
Some of the officials present are also confident of the agenda of the present administration.
When you look at the achievements, you begin to wonder whether this could have happened in 6 years. This is, you're talking about achievements that it will take some governments 16 years to accomplish.
We want to pray that in Finish well and finish strong. I want to believe that the mantle of leadership will be handed over to whoever God deemed fit.
As part of the 6th anniversary celebration, completed projects by the state government are expected to be commissioned over the next few days and put to use by the public.
From Bayelsa, let's move to Imo State now, where the government has received indigents who were brought back home from Libya by the federal government. The Commissioner for Happiness and Purpose Fulfillment, Mrs. Ogechi Ololo, while receiving the returnees at the government house in Owerri, the state capital, assured them that the state government has put everything in place to make their stay a good one.
Feel your pain. We will not condemn you. Neither will we judge you. But one thing we're going to let you know that we will find a way to help you and to integrate you into the system. Some of you may wonder and say to yourself, what can we do for you? Your other colleagues that we received last month, we have had several meetings with them. Some of them will start learning some things. Some of them want to do hairdressing, beading, and all those things. We have signed up their names, and they will start sometimes this month. Some of you have experienced kidnapping, and yet you are still alive. Some of you have experienced being shot or being stabbed, but yet you are alive. That spirit is what we want to grow up with you. That is the spirit we want to encourage. If you have gone through all this, like one of you said that you are 120 people on the boat, about 50 of you survived, or 70 people died, and yet you are among the survivors, which means there is something about you that is great.
The Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, is stepping up efforts to curb activities of fraudulent marketers who are bent on making life difficult for motorists. The DPR is carrying out intensive monitoring on fuel stations across state, and in Cross River State and River State as well. The agency is meting out sanctions to erring marketers, including sealing off stations where the product is sold above the approved pump price.
There are no more long queues keeping motorists for hours at fuel stations just to purchase premium motor spirit to refuel their vehicles. In many petrol stations across Calabar, the Cross River State capital, motorists and tricycle riders are able to get the product at approved pump price with relative ease.
Call the manager, let's see.
This follows the supply of products by the federal government to marketers and strict surveillance by the Department of Petroleum Resources across fuel stations in the state to deter marketers from diverting the product. Already, 3 stations have been sealed to make an example of erring marketers.
When we came here this morning, we discovered that they only discharged one compartment of 10,000 liters and left the rest in the trucks, probably for as an attempt maybe to take away 20,000 liters. But unfortunately for them, we are here, and what we've told them to do now is to discharge totally.
In River State, the DPR is bent on sanctioning as many petrol stations as necessary to drive home the point that selling above the regulated price of 145 naira per litre is still illegal. For the zonal operations controller, some of the reasons marketers claim are responsible for selling above the price is not tenable, and false impressions of unavailability of the product during inspections are not believable.
So you have seen that these stations, we go to them and then we dip their tanks, and the tanks are empty, where what we have is dead stock. So does that tally with what you have been told?
Marketers are accused of selling the product as high as 200 naira and 210 naira per litre in some cases, but they claim they sometimes have to buy the product from private depots above 145 naira.
You can only control what you have. What you don't have, you can control it. This is the situation we are facing right now.
Meanwhile, motorists are only too glad with the outcome of the surveillance as things are returning to normal at fuel stations.
I've been buying at 180, 200, but today I just got it for 145.
The DPR, both in Cross River and River State, plan to sustain intensive surveillance to ensure all marketers comply with government's stipulated meter rate of 145 naira across board.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Newcastle United records their first home win since October with a surprise victory over Manchester United in the English Premier League. That's on Sports News. Join us again.